So just finished season 1, episode 12. Just so you guys don't think I've been cheating, I have still been exercising. I did season 1, episode 11 day before yesterday, but I was trying to put like I was watching the video and recording my reactions kind of while I was exercising. And even though I wasn't showing the video on the camera, the audio is copyrighted. And so CBS flagged it or whatever. And so I couldn't post that video. It's not so funny. So even though I'm working out the whole time and just commenting, I was like yelling at the screen, like, no, come on. Which, by the way, last episode was pretty intense. It was crazy. It was neat to see the group in Beijing. And I was commenting how neat it would be to be in China. And because I taught English online to kids in China for 3 years, and it was just really neat. It was neat to, when I was teaching those kids, before all Chinese people looked very similar to me. I had a hard time telling them apart. But after 3 years of being with them face to face, you know, for extended periods of time, like I could totally tell them apart, and you can see more of their characters and who they are. And it was really cool. So it was cool to see that they were in Beijing. And I thought, wouldn't that be fun to run into an old student in Beijing? And ironically, most of the grownups couldn't speak English, but like all the kids could. And so if a person needed directions, they didn't ask a grownup, they found a kid, and then the kid would ask would translate for their parents or something. And so I thought that was really funny and not surprising in the slightest. Anyway, so Beijing was cool. I was really upset that Team Guido made top 3. I really, really wanted the other team. But hey, so now they're in the top 3. So today I got to watch them go to the Great Wall of China. And that's like so cool. You know, that's totally, for the first Amazing Race, you can see why they did some of these really specific experiences. And the Great Wall of China, it looked really, really cool. So I'm glad they got to do that. Couple notes is that in every country, it seems like they do something with cabs and cab drivers. And I realized I don't think in my life have I ever been in a cab, never been in a taxi of any kind. So that is on my to-do list. If I haven't already said it, or if I have already said it, I need to have experience with taxi drivers. Man, I need to like pop this down. There we go. So you can actually see what I need to have that experience with taxi drivers because I don't have any. I don't know what's a decent rate or what. And granted, in this season, they are having to watch their money. You know, they're having to watch their pennies. I did realize though, like, don't bicker over a tiny amount of change. Like there was this one point where one of the guys was like bickering over something and his wife was like, it's $1. In Chinese, it's $1. Stop bickering. You're wasting time. And so I did realize that you have to kind of pick your battles, especially if you're on a time crunch. Granted, they all 3 know that they're in the top 3, but it's down to minutes. Like going between each event, if you have the energy, run. Like, why not? So there was a part where like the group already knew they were in second, but between here and there, let's run. Between here and there, let's run. Every time you shave off a minute or 2 that maybe the other teams aren't shaving off because they're not running. So that was a good lesson learned. They took a flight. Apparently there's no direct flights from Beijing to Anchorage, which surprised me because it's a much shorter route. But Anchorage is not an international airport, I don't think. So you have to fly from Beijing down to LA or San Francisco, and then from there to Seattle, and then Seattle to Anchorage, because Seattle is like the connecting airport for all things Alaska. So, so that was interesting to realize that like it's okay. Connecting flights are okay sometimes because that's usually the only option. So, when they got to Alaska, though, I got really excited. It looks like it was still pretty wintry. I don't know what season this took place, but it looked like it was, like October or November maybe. The snow didn't look so deep that it was like February or March, and it didn't look like breakup season yet. So my guess is that it was like early winter. But it was kind of cool because these people who had small backpacks, relatively small backpacks, all of a sudden were wearing these heavy winter coats. And I was like, were you carrying those, or were those supplied to you at this location? Because I think that's what happened. Those winter coats kind of appeared out of nowhere. So I think CBS must have been like, oh, we're going to have winter coats at these locations. Because there wasn't anywhere for them to buy them. Like, they were kind of out in the middle of nowhere in a bed and breakfast. Anyway, it was cool to see them in Alaska. It was cool to see some names that I recognized. I went to Alaska back in 2009. I think it was 2009. And it was the most beautiful place in the world. And so I was hoping they'd do something with glaciers, and they totally did. They went ice climbing. They were like climbing the side of this glacier. And it's so interesting. You would never, like, I would never sign up and say, I want to climb a glacier. But if somebody gave me the opportunity and said, you need to climb a glacier, I'd be like, okay, I'll do that. Sure, I'll do that. And so it was really cool to see them climbing a glacier. You know, these giant picks and toe picks, and just like and sliding down, and looked cold and looked fun. And that was super cool. And then their crew said to take a snowmobile. And I was like, they don't call them snowmobiles in Alaska. They call them snow machines. At least they did when I was there. Like, if somebody said snowmobile, people laughed at you. They're like, no, they're snow machines. You go snow machining. So I thought it was funny that the crew said snowmobile. That was pretty funny. But man, I bet those people were so glad to be in like an all English speaking country again. Oh, like the people would just like communicate to them in English, and it was so easy. There wasn't that language barrier. And what, you never like appreciate that, I imagine, until you've been somewhere where you've had to battle to be understood. You know, they were in China, they were in India, they were in Thailand, they were in Africa. They were all over the map. And English was not the major language in any of those places. And so to end up in the United States again, even somewhere that's like so way out there as Alaska, like they're still part of the US, and to have them speaking the same language and understanding the same stuff. And by the way, the people in Alaska are the most warm, friendly, caring, amazing, incredible people. Like, I would totally live in Alaska if it wasn't so far away from being able to like visit family. Alaska is the place to be. Those people know how to treat others. And they say in Alaska that if you don't want to live there, then they move away. Like, only the people who like Alaska are there. So it was really cool to see them in Alaska. So yeah, I guess biggest lesson I learned this time was I need to learn how to take a cab, how to pay a cab driver, how to be like smart about that. You'd think it would be a no-brainer, but I live like in Podunk, Idaho. Like, there's probably 5 cabs within this entire the Boise area. Yeah, there's hardly any cabs. You see them once in a while and you're like, oh, look, that's a cab, because it's a novelty. So that was really fun. I actually should be cooling down, not still working so hard, because it's a full, is somebody like responding to this? No, I thought I saw a chat. I don't imagine anybody watches this, but it is fun to hold myself accountable. And it was kind of fun. Like, I'm starting to craving exercising, which is a new experience for me. But some nights, like when I'm craving something sweet, I'm craving that like chocolate high, or some kind of like I want to eat that food high. Now my brain kind of goes, do I want something bad for me? Like, do I want to make cookies, or do I want to exercise? And like, it's starting to give me that those options are equivalent as far as pleasure goes. And that is really cool. I've never been in that position before, where like, hey, this like sweet food that's bad for you is on the same level as exercise. And that was just really freeing. So today I had that experience where I was like, I have some Hershey Kisses hidden in this part of the kitchen. I think I want one. And then I was like, no, actually, I think I'm in the mood to exercise instead. And it was so freeing. And I was really proud of myself for that. So the next video that I do will be the last one of this season. So it'll be the finale. And I've decided after the finale, I'm going to weigh myself, measure myself, and kind of overall evaluate myself at the end of each season. So this will be end of season 1. Next one, I still need to get a scale because I actually don't have a way to weigh myself. I'd have to like go sneak into a YMCA or something. But I'm excited to see like how my body's changing. And even if my weight hasn't gone down or my waist hasn't slimmed or anything, I can feel myself as a person getting stronger. I can feel my breathing getting better, and that desire, that craving for that exercise. It's shocking and really exciting. So thank you to anybody who actually is tuning in and watching me on this journey. And if nobody is, I can tune in and watch myself on this journey and go back and see what I'm capable of, which is pretty cool. So let's see where they go from Alaska. Should be fun.